Morning and happy Saturday. Today is the 14th of December and we are local today. And despite the fact that the reason we're not in Vermont is it's basically real feel, I think like somewhere between 5 and 8 degrees up there today. It's kind of not really that much better down here. It's probably 22, 23 right now. So it is chilly out here, but there's not a lot of wind, so it's bearable anyway. Last week, I played hooky from doing this because I had a cold, and rather than subject people to hearing me hack a cough and all that fun stuff, I just took the time to recover. This week, we are back. We are listening in for that infrasonic thing because it's getting to be that time of year when it's showing up twice around the same time. So I'm looking for repetition from a research standpoint. For those of you that obsess on stick structures and things of this nature, I know that's hard for you to understand, but that is the tedium, that is research. And I also am curious if those were otters I saw the last time I was there, so I'm going to walk through there again. And ironically, today being a Saturday, there are no hunters here, so I have a freer hand to operate today. I'm also going to sight in a new scope I have for hunting next year or target practice later this year. I'll do that. And I have some commentary for some things recently happening in the community and some philosophical overlap from that. So we're going to do that. And we'll see where we are in the end. So come on along. We're going to do all that. We're going to go look for otters right now, sight in a new scope, and we'll see where we go from there. Thanks. They could have. And technically, because I actually did look up on the federal government's copyright database, she actually did claim a copyright there. Technically, she defrauded the U.S. government. And I say that emphatically because, number one, I don't mention her name, but if she was going to try to claim defamation, again, let's review what defamation is actually defined as. It is the damage to one's reputation by way of false statements. False being the key word. If that entry is still on the database for copyright, I can prove it was there. Her name would be there too. I also have a copy of the Pace report where the judge said she had to sign something saying, yeah, I lied, it's not mine. You match those two things up in court, and any claim of defamation turns around to you paying for my legal fees, at a minimum. Or a counterclaim of defamation, where you have a much larger potential for a blank check. I don't think it would come to that, because I haven't mentioned their name, and I'm not going to. A very specific group of people might deduce who I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is, this person suddenly had assumed a role of authority in the community. And they were as much a noob then as they are now. Where I find hope in the community is there are a couple of younger upcoming ones who are now, they seem to have a good head on their shoulders and they're pursuing their own growth in the community, but they're not doing all this social climby shit and chasing clout. They're just pursuing the subject. If I just heard a burst, it's a lot less pronounced as you do come. There is something to my theory, I think. Definitely coming from that direction, though, as an origin point. But on the philosophical / psychological note, that's where there's a mechanism within the community, and that's why a lot of my theory that the community will never solve this. If this is solved, it's not going to be solved by them, because the infighting is a never-ending circle jerk of people coming in and trying to establish clout, and then they backstab others who they don't like and all this other shit. And it becomes like middle school. It's a sad commentary, but I'm not wrong. The ones that are doing the real work so often are the ones who don't indulge in any of that. They just go out and they do the work, and I've gotten to try to do that. But I still have also the claim that I do study the community, and they are very consistent in this trait, that they don't play nice with others a lot of the time. And this last observable, sorry, let me get that out of there, little spat is just one more example of it. I don't know who's right, I don't know who's wrong. I really don't care. But it must have been something juicy, because, again, the person I'm talking about personally wouldn't let it bother me, because, I mean, if you're dealing with media personalities, they're not worth your time, because they're chasing something different. At this point, I am going to take a segment break. I am going to go a little bit this way and then start working my way back, listening in. I'm going to have the camera on but not recording unless I hear a burst. But I mean, as I get closer over here, it seems to die down. And again, the simple explanation could be, if it's coming from there and coming down that hill, which could be the case when you hit the pond, it resonates because you have open area, whereas in here, as you see, you have terrain that could be interfering with if a sound wave came through here of infrasound, I mean, I know that it can affect radio waves and their frequency and the range that it's capable of. So, I mean, you could have a similar effect. But allow me some time to stop talking and actually try to listen in. My theory being, if I go over there to where the other bog is and you're into another open area, maybe it starts up again. So I'm going to try to explore that. But we will be back in a bit. Do a little foraging here while I do my multitasking out here. So the interesting thing will be if it picks up again, because we're getting to a part of the pond where it opens up again, so you should be able to hear it if the theory holds true. Interesting. Sorry about that. Talking about recovering a cold. Part of that is snot, of which you will have no shortage. Let's go through here. Down by the water line. See if we have a repeat as we walk by again. This was where it's loudest. There's moose crap for your trouble. First moose sign I've seen in here in a while. You're timing to my steps, you bastard. You can almost feel it. Interestingly enough, my comment about the cut patterns before too. That one's subtle, but that's still different than like the ones I saw coming in. Still beaver. Single burst. Hold on for a second. We seem to be getting single subdued bursts now. For giggles, I put a vocal out to it. No response. Why? Why not? Its origin is a mystery, so. What, if any, reaction do you get if you attempt to speak to it? Wherever the fuck it is. The plane overhead is not helping. All right, so having said pretty much what I want to say, I'm going to listen in a little longer, but I'm going to call this segment of this week's video here. As I said, I'm probably going to come back tomorrow with more audio equipment to attempt audio recordings again. I have measurements from previous years. I want to compare them though. But we're going to call this one here, and no YouTube-y stuff yet because I don't think we're done yet. But I'm going to listen in more and focus on that. So we'll be back again later. So it is the next day, and as promised, we are here for a follow-up. We have recording equipment with us. The jury's out on whether this is going to be a repeat of yesterday when the phenomenon was manifesting, but this is why you follow out. It's another day that's nice and still. It's about as cold as it was yesterday, so conditions are, for the purpose of field experimentation, relatively similar to what they were yesterday, and we'll see. We'll just have to see what happens. The rest of it is up to the primordial forces that are of whatever the hell's doing this. So let's see what we can find out. I brought record. I'm going to have an H2 running at the pond, which I have figured is the open area where you're going to have the best acoustics for any kind of repeat, and then I'm going to kind of do the same pattern of movement like I did yesterday, and I'm going to have the app for measuring infrasound passively recording on the phone at the same time. So for today, we have a little bit more of a protocol-driven day because we didn't expect to run into this yesterday. And after that, it's up to nature to provide or not. So let's get moving. Let's see what we find out. Date. I've been here about 3 minutes, and there has been a repeat of the sound. I'm going to keep this going. I have the phone going. And we're going to see if I can get a comparison of the ability to get it on the camera here versus the Vox recorder and the H2 over there. So I've gotten at least one burst of it. It's pretty much doing the same as it was yesterday. It's still got that rumbling kind of effect. So I'm going to actually let the recorders do more of the work today. I'll be back in a bit. Another check-in. It's probably about 7-8 minutes later. We're in a quiet period right now, but I did attempt the vocal. No response. For the sake of just seeing if it's something that's interactive, because it doesn't seem to do it until I walk down to the pond. That's happened. It could just be timing, but that's been the pattern for all the times I've encountered this here. I hear these little popping sounds, but that could be bubbling under the ice or in the water. It's not the same consistency of noise. But we're going to hang around long enough. I know for a fact the recorder was running when we did get a good burst of it. But so I have a sampling so far of H2, at least one burst. The Vox picks up things and can differentiate like speech versus footsteps versus quote-unquote the unknown. I'm hoping to get like a timestamp directly when there's a good burst of it to see if it actually picks that up or not. Because 2 years ago, I know for a fact that my H1 or my K1 Removu gimbal camera was not able to pick. I could hear it plain as day, but it didn't pick it up, which means that there's probably a range of frequency that the camera can pick up. It's probably not ideal because that's not the purpose. It's not an audio recorder, it's a camera, but it would suggest whatever that is, despite the fact we can hear it, is outside the range, either decibel range or frequency range. And that's kind of and we have some crows in the background we can compare. But that's the mystery. Is it a decibel thing? Is it a frequency thing? Because when I had the other app on the phone before, I picked up, that's what I forgot, damn it, the EMF EF reader. because I was getting an actual signature of that when you'd get a burst of it. It came through at the same timestamp. You had infrasound, you had EMF and EF readings. So there is a source that's measurable. And over to my right, if I listen really carefully, there might be a deer over there. I hear him crunching in the leaves. Actually, up the hill and behind me. Because the acoustics are here, I'm going to stay by the pond today. In the distance, I'm picking up like barred owl calls too. You can barely hear them. There's a plane in the background. Which is interesting because if you listen really closely and you stand still, you can kind of feel it reverberating off the pond. Just barely, though. Just a quick update. It's now probably about 10 minutes more, and it's almost like the source knows I'm here because we got a couple of bursts and now it's deadpan quiet. Like literally no noise. It's like still, it's quiet. Just me yapping right now. I'm kind of deliberately staying over here so I'm out of the range of the H2 though. Should we get a burst? Just to give it a chance to do its thing. Gonna keep these little updates quiet or short though, so I can focus on the job at hand. Other updates, probably 10 minutes more. I have attempted to move locations to see if that elicits another burst of it, but since I first arrived, it's gotten quiet. Yesterday there were more. It was more chronic today. Like I said, it greeted me once, and then there was like a follow-up, a couple of smaller bursts, and now it's just being quiet. So, pretty sure I got the one good burst on the H2, though, so I can look at that anyway. Not a total loss for the day, but it's also not over, so. It's coming up on the hour, and we're going to wrap this up. We did have some initial bursts when I showed up, and then it went quiet, but I do think I have them on the recorder, so. Between yesterday on the camera and today on the H2, I do have some data to crunch when I get back. So we're gonna do that. I have what I came for anyway, which was something I can compare to the last time and the readings I have from previous times doing this. In the meantime, like, subscribe, leave comments as you will. I will update you as I dig through this and find what I have. And we'll take things from there. We'll be back next week as I'm able to repeat the exercise, and going forward, audio, recording will be part of the protocol for the day. But for now, this was kind of a different one because we encountered something that required more of a protocol-driven thing today. So if you like that, we will try to do more of this kind of thing in the future, but we need to have stimulus for it. And I guess the only thing I can say is on the way out, maybe I get a burst to say goodbye. I was kind of almost like greeted by one, but that's, of course, conjecture. Source remains unknown. It is a weirdness out here. But again, my theory at this point is you hear it best here because it comes down from over that way and hits the pond, and it's the best acoustics. As you get over that way into the trees, it breaks up more, but you have less line of sight for whatever the source of the signal is. So I have a theory for the point of origin. And I may do a follow-up by going in there looking for some, I don't know what I'm looking for, but anything out of the ordinary. Because I would really like to know what the hell this is. Those are my thoughts for now. And we'll catch you the next time. Thanks.